Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be exploring my local area for ancient sites. Since I can't do it myself because I've got a broken ankle, I broke it last week, exploring a castle. What an ordeal that was, but I'm still alive, still here, I survived. So today we're going to look for some ancient sites, so when my foot is repaired, I can go out and have a look. I'm going to look at local ones to start off with, guys. And I've got this cool site. It's from the National Library of Scotland, and you can check out all these old maps, and you can look at the modern maps, compare them, and even use LiDAR on top of it to see if there's anything else hidden. So we're going to have a look at that, guys. So we're in the area of Linlithgowshire, in this map here. And just south is the old Turfickin headquarters for the Templars, the Knights of Jerusalem, which we all know is probably here. That's why they had a headquarters here. But you can see here, guys, I just can't believe how accurate these old maps are. Like to the inch, you can see the shape, the tracks, everything. It blows my mind how well they done cartography like a couple of 100 years ago. But anyway, I was looking at this Bowden Hill, and this is quite an interesting site because it's got a bit of everything in the area. It's got old quarries, it's got lime works, it's got standing stones, it's got a possible Roman camp, it's got a ruin of a castle, it's got a hilltop fort. So we're going to have a look just in this small area. It's jam-packed with stuff to see. So this is the kind of place I want to go on a day out because I can bag quite a few things walking around. Within a couple of hours, I can probably see at least half a dozen ancient things, ranging from prehistoric up to like the industrial era. But it is such an interesting area, this one. But I was just looking at it and how accurate. Look at this. Look at these fields. Look at the borders, the walls. These fields are still. They're still there. They're still there. You see, the lock isn't there anymore. And if you've been with me on my walks, there's lots of times we've walked through a certain area. I can tell right away it used to be a lock. You can just tell by the different vegetation, and you can see the area is completely different for the surrounding areas, and the type of vegetation in that area is completely different. And you can tell when there's been a lock. So you can see here, guys, there was a lock. And this will be an interesting metal detecting site because the ancient people like to throw things in locks. But it's I just can't believe how accurate it is. So we've got standing stones here, which unfortunately you can't see because of these shadows on the modern map. And I think even on the LiDAR, let's have a look in the LiDAR, guys. So we're having a look at the LiDAR. It could be... They could have moved as well, but you can't really see them on the LiDAR, but you can see the remains of this hill fort. See up here? And you see the edge of it all the way around. Get rid of that there. You can see the ramparts, the earthworks that formed the edge of the actual fort. And I think there's some natural sort of crags and stuff like that that they created natural defences for the fort, but there's not much that remains of this fort in this map. There looks to be some sort of rectangular earthwork there, but I suppose you can kind of see in the LiDAR here, but we can flick it back. To see if you can see any rectangular remains. I suppose you can see a sort of ridge there. along here, following that. And these triangles here on the map, they're on the left-hand side, the old map, they're the trig points. So these are usually the highest points. I think that there could be the trig point here on the right-hand side. You see there. But it's amazing. If you just look in your local areas, guys, and you if you live in Britain, you'll have lots, whether you're in England, Scotland, or Wales, you'll find lots in Ireland. You'll find lots of stuff. And you can use these maps, these National Library of Scotland maps are for everybody, not just Scottish people. So check it out, guys. You can see an old quarry here, where there used to be an old quarry over in this area. The lime works over here. You can still see the buildings here. See the old buildings. You can actually see the shadows, and that's what I do when I can't figure it out. If they never had shadows on that right-hand side, you'd be wondering what that blob is. But when you see these dark shadows, you know there's something standing quite high. The shadows can be a pain in the butt for obscuring stuff, but at the same time, the shadows can actually help you judge if something's standing or flat. And as you can see here, there's definitely buildings still in this area. There's these old lime works. And it even tells you where the springs are. So there's a spring apparently in this bend somewhere here. I wonder if you can look in LiDAR to see what shows up in the LiDAR, the spring. Only thing is you need to keep closing these boxes. So somewhere around here, there's a spring. But look at what the LiDAR picks up that you can't really see on the old map. All these undulations and all these. What's that there? Oh, that's the buildings here. So when you see the red and blue, that kind of means it's above ground. So what else can we see on this old map that gives us some interest? So there's a sandstone quarry down here. There's an old castle here as well. It's called Locote or Locote Castle, or the remains of. So if we have a look down here, guys, the LiDAR's not really giving much away. Maybe it's lying to me. Nah. But obviously there's some kind of structures in this area. You can see the bumps. This was probably the outline of the castle here on the right. You can see on the LiDAR, they've got some kind of outline here. And that indicates on the left-hand side that there was a building there at one point. It looks like there was gardens or something outside it as well. This is a large bump or lump in the ground. I'll go back to the normal map so we can see what it looks like in the... I just jump back and forth to the... There we go. You have to get used to jumping between the two screens. But today, we have trees in the way in this area. So that would be a cool place to go and explore. And Locote Castle, or Locote Castle. Let's see if we can have a look to see what Locote Castle looks like. So guys, I'm going to use the StreamYard to show another window. Stop screen. Share, present, share screen. So guys, I looked up the Canmore. I've done this ahead of time. But you can see the Bowden Hill on the Can. This is a great site as well, by the way, guys, if you're in Scotland, the Canmore. It's a sort of unofficial, it's part of historic environment Scotland, but it's helped by people as well, like sending in photographs and stuff like that. So, but you can see here where the castle is, the Lacote Reservoir. There's a Bowden Hill at the top of the map. So the Lacote Castle remains of a square building 15 feet high with thick, massive walls, now used as a dovecot, and formerly part of Lacote Castle. The remains of Lacote Castle of 17th century date consists of a small vaulted chamber, probably the remains of an angle tower with a window in each wall, measuring 7 feet 8 by 9 feet 2 internally and 12.5 feet and 14.5 feet externally. It is built of rubble with rounded external corners, the south being corbelled out to the square. The upper part of the vault is modern. And this was taken in 1929, 1924, these reports, these archaeology notes. A desk-based assessment and watching brief were undertaken between March and October 2004 during the restoration, conversion and extension of stable buildings. The stable buildings are not recorded until the late 1800s, being documented in both the 1899 and 1926 OS maps, which show the buildings and trackways that are still present today. The watch and brief monitored the excavation of drain tracks around the stable building, excavation of test pits, the removal of soil within the stable building, and the excavation of service trench to the west. The remains of a stone trough or tank were uncovered within the stable building. The function of this feature is unknown, but it's probably an original feature of the stables. The service trench to the west passed within 5 metres of the remains of Lacote Castle, but encountered only rubble relating to the demolition of Lacote House in the 19th century. A sherd of medieval pottery was recovered from the topsoil. No other archaeological features were uncovered. So guys, this is it. This is what remains. I could contribute an image. I could maybe go there, take some better photographs, give the people an idea. But these are good enough. These give you an idea of what it is. But look at it. What a cool little building. That's something I'd be reveling in if I was there. So this is what we'll do, guys. We'll have a look at the maps, the old maps, compare it to the new maps. We'll even chuck a bit of LiDAR on top, some high-tech cartography. And then we'll research to see if it's worth visiting. But I think this whole area is worth visiting because it's jam-packed with places to visit. Right, we'll go back to the maps. Right, so we had a little look at Lacote Castle, the remains of. What's interesting as well is there's the remains of a camp here. See in this area? You see some sort of earthworks, and it's supposed Roman. So if we have a look in LiDAR, what's LiDAR telling us here? So it says the Roman camp was in this square here, I think. But we can probably see here there seems to be earthworks. That looks like old. See these old. See these trough and furrows. It's like the old agricultural terracing that I was studying. So we've got old quarries here as well. old lime works down here. Over on this side. But I'll be definitely visiting this area, this Bowden Hill and Cow Hill. I wonder if these show up on just the modern map. See these lines? Because they look like the old agricultural terracing. Like a old sheepfold. So, as you can see there, guys, you can't really see these terracings. And this might be a good tool for me because I was searching these ancient terracings. Because I think back in ancient times when there was water everywhere and these hills were like islands, more like with just marshland everywhere. The ancient peoples grew on the sides of these hills, especially south facing. But you do get them west facing, and sometimes you get them north facing if they've got a certain angle to them because the sun can still get on them. But south facing is probably the best angle for these terracing. But you can see here, guys, there's no obvious sign of these terracings. But when you look at the LiDAR, see here, guys, there's definitely, you can see here, and this was probably the people that lived in the forts, the camps, because close by there's the Roman camp. You've got the castle. You've got the fort up here. But yep, you can look how obvious it is from here actually. See the rest of the landscape is just lumps and bumps. Some bits smooth, some bits lumpy, but over here it's like corrugated. See that? So I think in this area there's definitely some ancient terracing going on. Because it's up a hill. It's definitely up a hill because on the old map on the left here, you can see it's got 600 feet up to give you a sort of idea how high up. It's the same over here above the Roman camp. And over here it gets higher to 674. And there looks to be a wee, what might have been an old lock or a little pool here at one point or another. What's this over here? There was a well here, but this looks like a sort of man-made structure on the LiDAR. Go back to the... Oh, there we go. It's a house. And it's right beside the well. So you can see on the old map that this lock, this reservoir, should we say, didn't exist. But when we go up, you can see that the lock here existed, and now it doesn't. And if you go further north, on this side of the hill, you can see there's another reservoir being made here, which doesn't exist on the old maps. So like I said, it's interesting, and the old maps are pretty spot on, I've got to say. What's this up here? Easter Carabar. Got a through rune, a trough rune. But these old buildings are still there. Crazy, eh? Right, what else can we... There's a mineral spring. Refuse. This is all amongst trees now. Footbridge, ruin. Somewhere in this area. And a mineral spring here. Let's have a look in the LiDAR. So let's see what we can see in the LiDAR. Let's see if we can see any remains, any footbridges or wells. It's hard to make out. I'm still new to the LiDAR, so I'm still trying to sort of figure out. So you can see. What's this here? You see there's buildings in the area as well. I wonder if the buildings are still there. Nope. But look at the old road still there. Is that a railway track? Could be a railway track. So many wells. Even this odd sort of circular plantation. It's still here. It's still here, look. How crazy is that? Even these ones here. These ones down here. They're exactly where you point at them on the map. I just can't believe how accurate it is. It's amazing. What's this over here? What's that? Not even sure what that is. If it's just a... It doesn't look... It doesn't look like any building or structure or anything, so... But you should try it yourself, guys. National Library of Scotland. Great site. So we're back to Bowden Hill. So I really want to come back and visit this old fort. You can still see the earthworks here. Right? See the edge of the earthworks here. They come right round. The earthworks, you've got the remains of the castle. You've got some old quarries. You've got the lime works, which in themselves are quite impressive when you see some of the buildings for these lime works, if they're still there. Right, we'll have another look. So what's this? Wallace's Bed. I think I've been up this Cockle Roo before. This hill here. So we've got another remains of a fort up here. In Cockle Roo. I'm sure I took my son up this one. But I never knew there was a thing called Wallace's Bed. Obviously, it'd be some kind of myth associated with William Wallace. He's really hiding there or something like that. And we've got a place called the Fairies Leap. The Fairy Leap up here. So it's up 700 feet, so it must be quite high here. The base of the precipice. Look at that, guys. Look at that. If I use my cursor to go along the base of the precipice, you can see on the modern map how it follows nearly exact. It's nearly exact, guys. It's crazy. Look at that. The old plantations are still there. Same lines. So we've got Hay Hill Plantation. Oh, there's a Cromlech. Which I doubt will be there. Or Druid's Temple. Cromlech or remains of Druid's Temple. How cool is that? What's this now? So whereabout is that? Cromlech, remains of Druid's Temple. Kips. Whatever this is, Kips. But we need to look into the old Druid's Temple. That's pretty awesome. What's it called? Hay Hill Plantation. So if I type in Cromlech, Hill Plantation. Let's have a look, see what we get. Right, I'll stop. Right, I'll present. Hill Plantation. Right, I'll just type it in here. Cromlech, Bruce Temple. We'll have a wee look on LiDAR, what it looks like. So, is this here? Next to the Kipps farm. This must be here. So on the Bathgate Hills, look, there we go. We've even got where we're looking at on the map. Cromlech or remains of Druid's Temple. In the Bathgate Hills next to Kipps farm, there is what is known to some as the Druid's Temple. We're just checking StreamYard if I'm sharing this. Yep. To some people, this may look like a bunch of glaciers erratics that have been thrown together, but these rocks have made it on to the early editions of maps. The Druid's Temple comprises of 5 large stones, 3 for a base and 2 on the top. There are several large stones around this temple embedded in the ground, which are thought to have once formed a druidic circle. There is an old legend about the local druid splitting the capstone with a lightning bolt when the Romans threw him out and rededicated the site. An alternative theory is that this is a collapsed dolmen. It consists of a series of upright stones with another sitting flat on top. The capstone on this one broke and collapsed inwards, and many fires have been lit under it. Andrew Hendry explains that dolmens are a type of megalithic monument in which a capstone rests upon several uprights. In the few excavations carried out, some human remains have been recovered, but not in sufficient quantities to suggest they were tombs. They're more akin to foundation deposits. Instead, these structures seem more about being visually impressive and perhaps attest to the importance of local elites who could organise the buildings of such monuments. There are grand examples such as Pentre Ifan in Wales, but most tend to be less impressive. It is highly likely, however, that Kipps is not a dolmen. Dolmens are a class of Neolithic monument which are found in the British Isles in the 4th millennium BC. They are largely confined to the areas around the Irish Sea, principally Ireland, where they have their densest concentration, but also Western Wales and southwest England, where they are known as quoits. Quoits? I'm not aware of any examples in Scotland or North or Central England. Well, this might be your first example, mate. Bathgate Hills is part of lowland Scotland, where there is no tradition of chamber tomb building. It's found in the west and north. And that's the thing. Just because there's more of them in another country, it doesn't mean this one can't be one because there's more in another country somewhere. A lot of farmers got rid of these dolmens when they were clearing the fields. They were just boulders in the middle of the fields getting in the way. They just cleared them out the road. So there was a lot of destruction by the local farmers of these sites. Bathgate Hills is part of lowland Scotland, where there's no tradition of chamber tomb building that's found in the west and the north. In this area, early Neolithic monuments tend to be constructed by pit ditch digging, mound building, or are timber built. Nearby examples are at Cowie near Stirling, where there are 2 U-shaped pit enclosures, and the Balfarg Riding School outside Glenrothes, where a timber enclosure, a suspected mortuary site, was constructed. My own photographs memory of Kipps Dolmen admittedly aren't the best. Nonetheless, I don't recall the uprights being solidly bedded in or regularly arranged like a typical dolmen sites. Indeed, Audrey Henschel dismissed it as a dolmen when she inspected the site in the 70s. She believed it was an assemblage of glacier erratics. As such, an isolated example of this monument type existing so far off piste in a region with no megalithic tradition strongly suggests that this is not a dolmen. However, this is not to say the site is without local importance. Robert Sibbald, who stayed at nearby Kipps Castle and credited with writing the first proper history of the region in his History of Linlithgowshire 1711, mentioned it in relation to local betrothal sites. An urn, possibly a cremation urn of early Middle Bronze Age date, was found nearby and reported in 1877. The finding of the urn, however, is loosely described and is impossible to establish whether it was deposited in relation to Kipps. Certainly the use of the urn comes well over 1,000 years after Dolmen stopped being built. My own suspicion is that these boulders were cleared from the land and heaped together to facilitate farming in the area, a clearance cairn. This may have been done in antiquity or more recently, but prior to Robert Sibbald. The site then attained a local significance, etc., betrothal sites, and has since been incorporated into folklore of Bathgate Hills. This may explain why the low circular wall was respectfully built around it. Of course, without proper excavation, it's impossible to be certain, and even then. So, 040 stones, Kipps Farm, Torfickan. Said to be the remains of a Druid's temple where sacrifices were made in ancient times, being composed of 5 large stones suggestive of Cromlech with numerous other stones around the base. While this romantic image would be preferable, in reality the stones are probably just natural erratics or were placed there during field clearance, but it would be nice if archaeological investigation would prove otherwise. Kipps Farm can be found to the west of the road between Linlithgow and Bathgate, opposite B. Craig's Country Park. A local to the area I met at Cairnpapel mentioned that courting couples who reach through the gap between the stones may be granted good luck. However, this has not been substantiated, and I wonder if they were having that strange guy on a bit. Now, because I've heard about other stones that have got holes born into them where couples had to reach for like liver stones. So some field notes. I had spotted this jumble of stones on an earlier visit, but was not sure if it was genuine or not, as it looked suspiciously like a pile of boulders dumped from a field clearance. The RCAHMS state the stones are natural, probably glacier erratics. Various writers have claimed the structure to be the remains of a Druid's temple, a stone circle, and a cromlech. I wonder. Whilst given the alternative names of cairn or stone circle, these stones are classed by Canmore as a natural feature. See their entry for Canmore. The original entry from the OS Namebook of 1857 classes this as the remains of a Druid's temple composed of 5 large stones. An updated from 1972 amends this to this feature referred to as a cromlech by several other authors writing last century is described by the RCAHMS 1929 as appearing to be a huge ice-borne boulder which has been shattered. Other stones in the vicinity, once interpreted as a stone circle, are erratics. This stone is also featured on the Ancient Stones, a guide to standing stones and stone circles in the south of Scotland. See their entry for stones, Kipps Farm, Torfickan, which includes a description, directions for finding the stone, with nearby parking, folklore, and field notes. So, guys, is it natural? Is it a cromlech? A druidical temple? Or is it just, it could be a mixture of both. That's the thing. It could be just a pile of stones, but it could have been a stone circle. The farmer wanted rid of it, dumped them in a pile. There you have it. So it could have been part of an ancient site. Or it could be just glacier stones, but they like to write a lot of stuff off to just erratics or glacial stones. It'd be nice to go there and try and find some kind of carving or feature or something. Yeah, interesting nonetheless, and I think I'll take a note of that, to be honest with you. So, Kipps Farms. Kipps Farms, Cromlech. Cromlech. Druid Temple, question mark. Right, and so what's the other one? Got Cockeroo there. I think I've been there, to be honest with you. Cockeroo. Wallace's Bed. Fairy Leap. Is it? Where's the other one? This the fort. Things in the way. There we go. We've got the Bowden Hill. So Bowden Hill, we're gonna visit that once my foot heals up. We're gonna have a look around the area. We're gonna look at the so-called. We're going to look for that old Roman camp. We're going to look at the fort. We're going to look at the castle. We're going to look at these standing stones. So we've got these standing stones here, guys, on the old map as well. There's two of them. But like I said, in the modern map, you can't see it because of the shadow. But if we look for Bowden Hill standing stones, standing stones. So ancient monuments. There's no photos on this site, so I'm not consenting to anything. The Bowden Hill Fort. Bowden Hill has wonderful views of the Lomans to the west, Downlaw to the east, Norman's Law, Green Craig to the north, and Firth Forth to the south. Sadly, there's very little traces of the fort now except for some on the western slopes which are almost impossible to photograph. However, change of colour in the grass give an idea of how large the fort was. There's that Cockeray Hill. So images for four stones hill, standing stones. What's this? You probably can't see that because it's jumped to a different page. Look for images. There we go. Do you know what? On my phone, I found these things. There's two of them. There's one lying flat, and there's one standing, about a metre tall. And I think it's. I don't know why it's not showing me on my computer. Anyway, guys, we'll see them firsthand when we go and visit them. There's Cairnpapel Hill, which I've already got a video about, guys. Never seen that before. It's older than Stonehenge. This is a henge. And the hill that you see in the picture, that's just been built to protect the tombs that lie underneath it. So, right, guys. We'll do another 5 minutes of you looking around in the area. I think I'll end it there. Just wanted to give you a little taste. Get rid of these boxes that keep appearing. So we'll have a look in the area. So we've got the Bowden Hill, which I'll be visiting. I'll be looking for the fort. I'll be looking for this Roman camp that's down here. And you can sort of see some kind of earthworks in the area, which could compromise it. But like I said, I think there's agricultural marks, ancient agriculture that the LiDAR picked up, which I find really interesting. I think they've been largely ignored, these agricultural terracing, because it kind of proves that we weren't cavemen that long ago. We were actually quite far ahead with agriculture, probably more advanced than they make out. You can see here the terracing, guys, which is obvious. You can see how neat. You see how neat it is. There's obviously something being grown in this area, on the side of this hill. But look at that, you can see the old. Look at that. It's amazing how accurate. I think the LiDAR's cool. Didn't get me wrong, the LiDAR is pretty cool. But I just think it's amazing how accurate the old maps are. It looks like some kind of old quarry or pit. That's a pit, some sort. But you've got multiple quarries in the area as well. Down here, there's old quarries, old lime works, and you can still see the buildings here for these old lime works. So I'll definitely want to visit these, because these are pretty impressive just on their own. And we've got the Lakota Castle, which is hidden amongst these trees. We're going to visit, definitely. I'm still sharing this, guys. Aye. We've got a lock that I might take my metal detector to. And to be honest, I don't like taking my metal detector to ancient sites or mocking historic sites, because I don't want to really destroy or upset anything in the area. I think it's a bit disrespectful, especially old graveyards. I mean, got these metal detectorists, Scottish ones, on YouTube, and they're going into old graveyards and digging up. You know what I mean? And I just think that's really disrespectful. As much as it'd be nice to find a little silver coin or something like that, it's no worth destroying or disrupting. Again, have some respect for the dead as well. I mean, it's all about respect as well. Respecting the dead, respecting your country, respecting your history. Just for some greed. I mean, for a little bit of silver or a little silver coin. Wow, big deal. Looks like something's in these trees. So we've got a sandstone quarry here. You can see the remains of a well up there. That's an interesting name, Carabar. What's in this area? You've got pump well, sluice, sheepfold. So this Barrow Stones, this name here, that's Bowness. They've just shortened it. See the bow and the ness. But the old name for it was Barrow Stones. I just think it's amazing how these old plantations are still there as well. These circles are still there. This map on the left, I think it's like 1850s or something like that. So we've got a mineral spring here in the trees somewhere. Easter Carabar. Back to Bowden Hill. You see the line works as well on this side. I think all round the hill, I think there's 4 line work sites around the hill. And some are pretty still complete. The buildings are still there. So guys, that was Bowden Hill and the surrounding area. We've got the Kips, the Cromlech, the remains of the Druids Temple. Just might have a little visit, see if we can find anything. There's an old coal pit down here. Old coal pit in this area. Stones. Another stone. And these could be just marker stones, or milestones, or march stones. Old lime. Is that an old lime kiln down there? You wouldn't even know that in the trees, looking at the modern. It's a Hay Hill plantation. You've got a smithy, which used to be a blacksmith. Old lime kilns again. Just looking at the old map. Got B. Craig's Hill. Rickerton. Broomy now. An old quarry here, and I think there's a trig point as well there. Yep. So what they call the Rickerton Hills. What's this Rickerton? Right, guys, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that little taste of me looking for ancient sites for my next adventure. Since my legs are that, I'm going to do a few more of them. I'm going to take some notes, and I'm just going to write down as many as I can. And then over in Fife as well. I love going over to Fife. So next time, I think we'll be looking at Fife, the Fife area. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed that, and have a great day. See you all later. Cheers.